Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this episode I'm going to place a gold-plated watch next to a golden coin, and the goal here is to find out if the gold-plated watch looks cheap or not. I have a nice watch for you, Nivada Grenchen F77 in its latest form, gold-plated on the wrist. The watch I discovered for Watch of the Week, the video series where I present recently introduced watches, and I really fell in love with the look of that watch. The original was introduced 1977, therefore the name. Available in steel and gold-plated, and now the gold-plated version is here to check it out. And in this episode, I'd like to deliver the full review of this watch and again the test with real gold. Because here on the channel I did videos about the techniques, about gold plated versus gold filled versus PVD, you name it, PVD plated. And now I think it's really time for the final test where we take this thing, place it against gold coins, 18 carats, so that we can see the differences, so that we can really see if there is something inferior to it or not. Okay, let's start with the watch now. Nivada Grenchen F77 in its latest version. And before I go into detail, let's speak briefly about the measurements here. We have a case diameter of 38 millimeters, a length lug to lug of 46.2 and a height of 12.2. And this watch here is, despite its original from the 70s, equipped with a modern sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, a screw-down crown, and therefore waterproof up to 100 meters. And movement is the Swiss-made Soprot P024, which is basically an ETA clone, so it's a bit of a standard from another company. And the watch comes in a steel version and in gold-plated. And the price for gold-plated is 1,865 euros or 1,690 US dollars. So this is the price range we are in. And as pointed out in my video series Watch of the Week, where I presented this watch briefly, there are some alterations to this latest version here. And the main alteration is the dial. This is a black onyx dial, believe it or not. So we don't have some sort of varnish, we have, or ceramic, we have a stone, high polished stone, which delivers a super crisp black, as you can see. And you see, by the way, also the crystal, the anti-reflective coating at work. Very effective, I find. Strong light bulbs around me, but you see the crisp black of this dial, and it creates a nice contrast to the hands. And the hands and indices are the next alteration to earlier versions, because now you have these dolphin hands, which I found a bit 50s. And I said in Watch of the Week, don't know if this fits 100%. Perhaps I'm too picky, but it's for me a bit 50s, but alright, I can live with it, I can enjoy it here on the watch. And the next alteration, the important alteration, is this curve. Let me erase the fingerprint here, is this curve of the case against your wrist. This is now a bit enhanced, so it goes nicely around your wrist, and of course you will see the watch on my wrist during this review. The functionality is as follows. Screw down crown, position 1, and that's it. Because this Soprot is a non-date version, so you don't have a ghost position, hackable movement. And now you can set the time. Feels very nice, but as said, it's a bit like a good old cylinder SW200. It's the same technology. There are no surprises here. Allows hand winding. Feels exactly like the cylinder, to be honest. And so nothing very special, but of course very functional and very precise. At least this watch here is very precise. I've been wearing this for some days now, and yeah, good performance. And of course, one of the main attractions is the gold. We'll speak about that in a minute, but also the case construction. We have this AP Royal Oakish bezel with screws well aligned in a radial alignment. Very nice. And you have this oyster type bracelet with a very nice brushing on it. Then you here have the clasp and the solid metal case back. This you find very often with gold-plated watches, by the way, that the case back is metal. Why? I have no idea. Here is the clasp open now. bright shining ensemble. And what I really like here is the contrast of the dial, gold on black, and of course the overall luxurious appearance and the finishing. The finishing is very, very well made, I have to say. I mean, I handle a lot of watches here, and sometimes you have a bit something very sharp or something without a clearly defined contour, but here everything is really, really perfect. There's nothing disturbing here, and so I'm very, very happy with the finishing quality and also the performance of the movement, the functionality of the crown. It's not scratchy, and so everything works really good. But we have to see, we are here in a region around 1,800 euros, and so they must deliver something really well, and as far as I'm concerned, they really did. My only little minus is that I found the older hands better for this style, for this type of watch. But could be a matter of taste. I find the clasp a bit too large for the style of the watch. I will put it on the wrist and you can see what I mean. There you go, 17 centimeter wrist. And I find this clasp a bit too dominant. I know for a fact that many people like this clasp and they are fine with that, but I would prefer a sort of butterfly clasp, which is smaller, just more subtle. But this clasp, to show you this also, has a very cool feature. This is a quick release, or a quick adjustment, I should say. Quick adjustment system. It's hard to see with my fingers in front of the camera, very sorry, this is difficult, but you know what I mean. You push the lever and then you can move this part around, and then you have a very fine adjustment for your wrist, and so you can make sure that this watch bracelet will always have a good fit on your wrist. The bracelet itself is not super special. It's not that several hundred ICLA thing, but it does the job. It feels relatively lightweight. You have a tiny bit of stretch, so it's a bit rattlier, if this is a word, than other bracelets in this price segment, I believe. But I'm very critic now. I think most people would just say this is a very nice looking and functional bracelet. So all good now. Okay, and now to the second part of this video. Watch against real gold. What we have here is a maple leaf from Canada, 1 ounce, 24 karat of gold. And we have a metal, historic metal, also 24 karat of gold. The reason is that gold comes in different colors, and I'm not speaking about rose gold. There you have really another alloy. But every country, every region, every mine basically has a slight difference in color when it comes to 24 karat gold, all right? And of course, this is not 100% scientific, because here you have 9,999 parts of gold, and this here should simulate 18 karat gold. Okay, so this is the normal gold you use for jewelry and watches is 18 karat. This is 24. But I'd like to focus here a bit on the shine and the depth of the color than the color itself. And you see, I think you can already see that it's pretty close. See that 24 karat yellow gold against this watch. And I think the watch can hold up to that. Let's compare here the clasp, these large surfaces. There you go, with the other side. And you see, it's pretty close to the original stuff. I mean, this is high polished now, so this is a bit unfair, but when you compare it to these fingerprinted, to these high polished surfaces, then you are pretty close to the real material. See that? Historic coin is a bit darker. Metal, I should say. I think this is a metal. A bit darker, another gold tone, but the same depth and the same shine to it. And so, this I think, I personally find pretty convincing. This is not looking cheap. And I have always the suspicion when people say gold-plated looks cheap that they want it to look cheap, because they want to buy the real stuff, which of course is perfectly fine. If you have the funds, then you can go for real gold. But if not, I think you have the possibility to buy something very convincing gold-plated. And as said, again, there are differences in quality. If you compare this to a cheap watch, then you sometimes have a brownish tone to a gold plating, which isn't in fact very attractive. But this is really well made, and I think we can see and prove it by this direct comparison with the real stuff. But of course there's one downside to gold plating in general. You cannot polish it so well. So minor flaws here, so micro swirls or something like that, you can definitely polish away, but when you have a big scratch, then you have a bit of a problem. You cannot just take fine sandpaper or something like that to erase it. You will cut through these gold layers, and then you have the base metal under it. And so I would never use such a watch as a daily beater watch. I think this is a perfect watch for special occasions, for special weeks, for special occasions in the summertime for me personally, but it shouldn't be necessarily your daily beater watch because of that mentioned downside. You cannot polish it endlessly. And by the way, when you see the weight of this coin here, you can imagine why pure gold watches are extremely heavy. If you manufacture something like this with pure gold, then you have a very, very heavy watch, because this thing alone, I think you can hear the impact, is a very, very heavy thing. Welcome back. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope it helped you a bit to judge if you can go with a gold-plated watch, because perhaps you're a bit like me, I don't collect money for the wrist. When I have a convincing watch, then I prefer to buy it at a modest price. I don't like to spend money on watches only because of the money, only because of the value of the material. I really like gold as an investment, but I also like the rich shine and the look, and when I can grab this at a bargain, then I really prefer it over the 8, 10, 12, 14,000 euro watch. And by the way, I've mentioned the problem polishing golden watches or gold-plated watches and the problem of scratches, right? And CasebackWatches.com, the online shop that keeps everything here independent, offers the perfect solution for that. Because I have a nice watch case for you for 3 watches, especially invented for watches with metal bracelets. So everything is nicely packed there, nicely protected against shock from outside, but also against scratches. There's a nice padding between watch head and clasp, for example. And so great product, made in Germany, high-end quality leather, and the price is really affordable, because there you get this case for the price of a high-end strap, a single strap. And so a big recommendation if you have watches with metal bracelets or something like that here and you're a bit worried during travels, for example, then go to CasebackWatches.com. There you really find something nice for this problem. Alright, and that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.